So, yeah, talking about this again. Well, here we go, everybody.
He might not be from Krypton, but he's heads above the rest. His knowledge can't be questioned. You can put it to the test. So if you want to hear the truth and have nowhere else to go, I'll give you the solution. Just tune into his show and just kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod. Kneel before Zod.
Oh, confusing intro, but welcome, everybody, because I was too fucking lazy to set up everything else. I'll try to be more professional in the near future. But it's super early in the morning, at least for me. And I stayed up watching Twisted Metal, which, by the way, I will have a review up. That show is surprisingly good.
Oh, yeah.
Good job. Yeah, Peacock actually did a fairly good job. There is a great rendition of the song by Sweet Tooth.
That's amazing.
Now, when they marketed this very poorly, but when you see it actually played out in the context of the scene, I'm not gonna lie, it could be like the two things of Jack's that I had, but it was pretty fucking funny. So, yet again, we're talking about my favorite person. So, but this goes to our writing as well. If you guys don't know, this is tongue in cheek. Even though a certain person has been talked about a lot here, mainly because this has been my main focus, and I've dragged poor Jay down the rabbit hole.
It was a rabbit hole I was already experiencing, so I'd better have a team with me if I'm going to do it. It's a deep ass motherfucking cave.
It's become more of a cavern now of shit.
Yeah.
So, if everyone joined me before, I brought up the Vanity Fair article, broke it down. It was so riveting, put PB to sleep. Had to put him in the back.
I'm not surprised.
So, I actually did have people on here before, and they pointed out to me how apparently the good folks at Vanity Fair, because I thought it sounded familiar to me, like I had reviewed something else shitty that they had done, but I couldn't put my finger on it. So I asked the good folks in our comments section, and I'm like, hey guys, didn't they do a hit piece on Johnny Depp? And then and people were like, yeah. So I looked it up, and holy shit, these are the same motherfuckers that did a hit piece for Amber Heard. And that's when I realized these guys are 2 for 2 on being scumbags. So I know you got the gist of the article, but I wanted you to experience the full article in its entirety because it's quite amazing. And I brought up the H3 podcast because, quite honestly, I don't want to pay them to be able to see the whole article. And there wasn't a third party extension I could go to because, once again, Vanity Fair is terrible at every single thing that they do.
Yep. They like their cameras.
Yes, it was super. It was, but I'm starting here with Ethan starting the article, and I just wanted you to get the gist of what we were dealing with here. And hello, everybody who's here. Welcome strap in. It's gonna be a bit of a story here. So
Right off the bat, formatting is awful. That font is too small. That little font is too small. That color scheme is awful. Those pictures are awful. Don't like the lack of being centered. All right off the bat, I don't like it.
now, keep in mind we're going to be talking about the shittiness of the article, but this is our writing show, and seeing as to it's writing involved in um, doing this article, we will be critiquing this shitty writing. I noticed that too. So that could be a catchy pun that all aboard if he didn't put it in super fucking small font.
Mm-hmm.
Like it felt to me like this person wanted to make a clever joke and then he printed it super fucking small.
Yep.
And Ethan didn't even really try to highlight it here too, but you could just tell by how this is structured how fucking shitty this whole thing is.
Yeah. It's definitely clickbait for sure.
But that's the thing, though. This is Vanity Fair's. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they defended this article, and we'll get into that too. But Vanity Fair defended this kind of like they defended their Amber Heard garbage piece that they made too. So,
Yeah. Well, they have no choice. I mean, once you put something out, you have to double down, or you run the risk of losing. It's a toss up between losing
losing what? Their journalistic integrity?
yeah, losing subscribers by looking like the fucking hot mess they are, or is it better to lose subscribers based on the fact that you stand by what you said? People are going to prefer the latter, because if you're out here putting misinformation and you're saying that you were wrong or you didn't do your research or whatever, that's going to make it everybody question everything. So people are going to prefer you to go with the doubling down. So it's a marketing wise, like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, y'all are freaking atrocious.
I don't know how many times a company can be wrong about something and not learn their lesson and not be like, hey, maybe we should fact check and look shit up before we write an article. I don't understand it. So yeah, this is hilarious.
Toxic gossip train thing.
Oh, that would be clever.
Oh.
That would be clever.
It probably is, huh?
Okay, Bennington.
Do you think it's a reference to our show?
That's what I was
Fucking better be.
suggesting.
Toxic gossip train. So everything you need to know about the drama tearing YouTube apart. Already it's bad. Fun Badger.
Okay, I'm not a huge Ethan from the H3 podcast. I watched a whole thing on him, and I have to say, at times he has been kind of scumbaggish in certain things he's done. But one thing I respect him for, and most of the people on his staff, is he's always been very straightforward and pretty truthful with his takes. Like, he's done some pretty horrendous things. You guys can look up some videos on that. But I will give him respect. Like, he's, even if he has a bad take, he's stuck by it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I love his opener was the same thing we just said.
Mm-hmm.
Already it's a shit article.
I mean, look at this formatting. You know, you have
it's terrible.
Have the drop text with the C and everything, which, sure, that's, chapter books do that, but then you go down the next paragraph, where's your indentation? Where is your, it just doesn't look good to me. And the font, too small. Again, a little bit too small, a little bit too flowy, a little bit too fancy. You can't really read it very well unless you're actually like zooming into it. And it's like they published a hit piece and they tried to hide it in front of your face.
You know what? That's actually kind of a clever thing. I didn't think about this, folks. Maybe now that we're breaking down the writing, so if you guys don't know or if you stumble across this is our tongue-in-cheek. We will be addressing this article, but we actually write So we're also going to be critiquing the article itself. Maybe we can help Andrew out, because if you guys don't know, this dude's name is Andrew, who, by the way, fucking added Adam on Instagram. Yeah, this guy added him to let him know he wrote this article. Didn't let Adam respond and
Clout
blocked
chase.
him.
Clout
So
chase.
it. Oh, and it's funny because the article calls him the clout chaser. I mean, the irony and hypocrisy is real. So far, people, this article. Hey, Christine, what's up? Thank you, because I did not share us on Twitter. I am terrible. I am so glad you shared this stream, because it's like a best kept secret right now. So yeah, this is just poorly written so far. Poorly written, and I'm going.
Disclaimer: this is my opinion as well. All opinion, not fact. I am not a specialist.
Hey, Nico, what's up? Hey, guys, one question, Zod. Why do you sound like you're calling from outer space? I am talking a little bit lower today because Bitchy is sleeping in the room. If I get a little bit too loud, then you'll see me killed live here on stream. Hopefully that answered your question. When I'm up close to the mic like this, hopefully I sound super sexy. Anyways, let's continue.
Not ASMR.
Welcome to the Zod podcast. This is now my angry voice. If I speak up a little bit louder, or if I speak a little bit faster, that's actually me ranting. Thank you all. Click that like, share, subscribe if you would like more Zod AMSR content. Oh my god. So let's continue.
Has been a YouTuber star for more than a decade, amassing tens of millions of followers, many of whom found her when they were teenagers or even younger. They fell hard for her potty comedy. And periodically, specifically her fictional alter ego, Miranda sings. Talentless adolescents who delusionally believe she can sing and also is trying to have sex with her uncle.
You see how he has to zoom in? Did you see the zoom that he did?
Yep.
That's hilarious, because I could even tell he was struggling trying to read this.
Yes.
So,
that's the problem.
And before we continue, if you notice structurally, a lot of these sentences look at like run-ons. The sentences, like maybe the periods are there, or maybe it's just so shitty and sandwiched together. But it looks like a giant like run-on paragraph.
Yeah, the formatting, if you look here where it says, or even younger, they fell hard for her potty comedy, like it makes it look like it's supposed to be a separate paragraph, even though it's not, because of the way that they have all of this extra white space that's creating this formatting, and it's making it very tight, which I know technically it's a news article, so technically they're trying to, make it look like a news article, but it just makes it look gross.
I love here in Phantom Zone you get high quality verbiage there. It's gross.
Yeah, it's gross.
And Nico, good to see you. Nico is one of my subscribers who is so glad I'm doing this early, because he never has a chance to come on the late streams. So, hello, Nico.
I was wondering. I was like, that's a name I don't know.
Oh yeah, Nico is old school. He's been with the Phantom Zone from the days of just me and PB talking. So
no, I'm just kidding.
yeah, when we talked to nobody or like one or two people. So those days. Anyways, let's continue. Because this article gets worse.
Cool, constantly. Is that right? Or the uncle
being
trying
abused.
the other
Yeah,
way
I
around?
guess.
That's
in
funny.
Her most comedic attempt. You know what I mean?
To be fair, an uncle molesting his niece is quite funny.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
ripe for satire right there, boy.
Especially for like children's satire.
Mhm.
That's extra good.
Mm-hmm.
Adult incest.
They love that.
Your
The
argument.
children.
Humor. He's being completely 100% sarcastic there. Because I know, like, I went back through and I was like, oh, I see what you did right there. Sometimes it's very hard with him to tell when he's joking. I think that's part of, like, his shtick. So he might say something.
His face is so blank.
Yeah, he keeps a very, like, straight-laced face. So when he says out of kind of crazy, out of the box shit, it's hard to tell if he's joking, and that's when his crew will jump in. Thank God he got a crew, because back in the day when it was just him, he's like a Ray Romano kind of with his line delivery. So if you get that humor, you'll pick up on his sarcasm. It took me years of watching him to pick up on it, but yeah. So he'll say something dry like that. 95% of the time he's joking about it.
Watching YouTube.
The persona resonated with outcast kids who found her despite desire for fame to be oh so accurately cringe. Success earned Ballinger.
So I wanted to talk about that sentence with you. I get what he's saying, but and they'll bring this up in a bit, but the structuring and how he words that seems off to me. So the persona resonated with outcast kids who found her desperate desire for fame to be oh so accurately cringe. Like, it's a sentence that
Is trying real hard.
it just seems like, one, it seems like a very it seems like it's very wordy. I don't know if that you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But it seems like there was a better way to write that.
Yeah, there was. What he's doing, I mean, I know you know, but for those that don't know, what he's doing in this sentence is trying to make it sound, trying to humanize her by making it sound like there's a bunch of these kids that are just lost, looking for something, and they connected with her because of her desperate desire to do whatever it is she's trying to do, and this, that, and the other. And so it's a purposely flowy, flatter, like flowery fluff sentence. This whole thing is going to be filled with sentences like this, trying to trying to make light of those claims.
Oh yes. So yeah, yeah. Brace yourself. You're gonna be pissed off by like probably halfway through this.
I'm already pissed off.
When they bring up Adam, you're oh boy.
Her Netflix series, sold out live shows, and most recently, rapidly intensifying controversy. Late last month, Rolling Stones published a story alleging that Ballinger had.
Yes. Like, okay, even when he, I guess legally or from a, I don't know, I don't want to say journalistic standpoint because nothing about this screams journalistic integrity. But I think from a trying to be non-biased or be taken serious, you'll hear him glaze over a lot of the claims and put in words like that so that people reading this obviously are going to be like, oh, there's these claims. Yeah, there's these claims, but clearly it's just YouTuber shenanigans. We're the bad guys. Actually, no, there's one bad guy he picks out in this whole thing, and who he names, which, by the way, they brought this up earlier. I did not want to show this whole podcast because it's like 2 hours, and the first half of this is like an hour and a half, but they do name Adam by his name and did not contact him. Now, I am not up on the journalist, but when I went to school, and I did take a journalism class, I was very specifically told and under the assumption when you use people's names in an article, you have to have tried to reach out to them. Now, they can say no, and then you could still use it anyways. But from my understanding, you have to reach out to the person in order to be able to use their name or to reference them. And he did not reach out to him. So there's a lot of talk, and from what I hear, Adam and his family are planning to send they're getting a lawyer. They're going to send a notice to Vanity to retract this article, and I think it should be retracted. We'll get to the part where he starts naming him. And I don't know if I want to go through all of this again just to give you a gist. You might get pissed off before we even finish it. But, yeah, I don't know your take on it, but I don't know all the legalities, but I'm pretty sure you have to contact the person. I mean, it's similar in the literature world, too. If you're doing something on someone, you have to contact them in order to reference them, or you have to use a kind of pseudonym or something else in order to put them into something you're writing if you didn't get their permission, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'm pretty sure too. I mean, and if they don't give you permission, you have to say, we reached out to this person, but they did not comment. They did not want to comment or something like that. I'm not sure, but I think.
Yeah, because he does say that about Rolling Stone, so they didn't sue the shit out of him. But yeah, they took a shot at the Rolling Stone article, which I thought was very well done. I read that article. They just gave the facts and what all the allegations are, who the victims were, and that was, they did an actual piece. And I'm not a big fan of Rolling Stone. They've done a lot of shit articles, in my opinion. They did a big thing on Johnny Depp too. But at least they had enough integrity as far as with somebody fucking grooming kids to be like, hey, we fucked up once, so we're not going to make that mistake again.
Right.
Because I think they took a big hit when they wrote that shit article about Johnny Depp.
Isn't that the one where he went in for the interview thinking that it was just going to be like normal, then they twisted it all around and he was like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, they ambushed him.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. It's a tactic that a lot of these media people, they've been using it for years.
Right.
A lot of journalists at that time got that wrong. But I do respect them for putting out a piece like this that they did, where they just laid it out for a mass audience and said, okay, here's what happened. They did use allegedly a lot just to cover their ass one way or the other. I completely get that. Like, I get you saying allegedly. These things are alleged. They're not in the YouTube space, so they haven't seen everything we've been covering. But this guy clearly is going after Rolling Stone in this thing.
Engaged in inappropriate behavior with underage fans. The magazine verified screenshots of texts in which Ballinger asked a minor about their virginity status and their favorite sexual position. She also asked them to send pictures of their body. Yikes. Well, that sounds bad already. Where we go from here. However inappropriate her alleged behavior was, the article clarified that no sex crime had been committed and that no evidence in review even hinted at the possibility that Ballinger had intended to start a sexual relationship with a child. Okay, so it's cool then.
Yeah.
Right,
so they do end it by running deep for her.
So that part really pissed me off. So, and a lot of people highlighted this, and I like his sarcasm with that. So they're saying, and I can already see you like getting ready to pounce, but I just wanted to give you my initial, because I went on a rant on this, but I'm going to let you have this one. So just so we're clear, they're saying because she didn't start a sexual relationship, it's okay, right? We could just be inappropriate in a chat and it's cool, right? Just as long as you don't touch the kids. I mean, she didn't touch the kids. She didn't. So it's cool, right? It's all right. You can ask nasty fucking questions kids to minors, and we're cool. Apparently, that's Variety's standard.
Yeah. I don't even know how to. Okay. For those of you that don't know, that's still not okay. If somebody was reaching out to my child like this, you bet your ass I would burn the world to the ground, because I don't even like my kids talking to other kids that way, first of all. And I have a teenage child.
You and me both.
Like, it's not good. It's not a good look. It's not okay. You can't even label it as a joke because it was multiple people, multiple times. And you are 30 years old. You don't need to know what a child's body looks like unless it's your child and you need to know for health reasons. Like, there's a giant difference. But even that is still not okay. Like, it's still uncomfortable. But like, these are kids that she doesn't know. These are kids that she has no like. This is not okay. This is not okay. Like, I feel weird even just talking to my own children about any issues that they're having with their body. Like, why would a 30, and I'm 33 with a teenage child that I'm trying to help through puberty right now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know, because I'm in my upper 30s, we'll say, and I have a teenage daughter who went through something that I couldn't help her, I couldn't explain reasonably because I'm a dude. Y'all can use your imagination. So yeah, I get it. Like, those uncomfortable conversations, and from a writing perspective, this is one of those obvious things where we call this minimizing, right? They're trying to minimize the severity of something, and you can see it in the verbiage that they're using right now. This is all this is psychology 101, right? Anybody reading this, they're going to see that and go, they want to put in your mind right away, oh, but this can't be a, like, P word, because you can't say that on YouTube anymore. We'll say PETA. That should be a swear word too. But obviously, this person isn't a PETA because
Right.
they didn't start a relationship, right? They want the reader to get certain things in their mind before they start dissecting what's going on. That's what all this is, and you see it a lot in journalism where they try to defend these scumbags. You'll see them use words and language and stuff to kind of almost prep the reader to desensitize them to what they're going to say next.
Desensitization, for sure.
And it's kind of it's disgusting. Oh yeah, Nico brought up my car streams. Those were the good old days. Now I can do car videos again. I often thought about, like, maybe doing a car video short. Nico used to love watching those. My phone got better though, Nico, so the quality on those are slightly better than where we were a couple years ago.
Sure. Bellinger did not respond to Rolling Stone's multiple requests for comment.
Well, it depends on where they go from here, but yeah, I mean,
they're running D for her already. Yes, it's true. She did ask minors about their virginity and asked them to send pictures of their body. However, she wasn't trying to fuck them, as far as we can tell.
Good enough for me.
Everything I've ever groomed is my 2 Persian cats.
Iconic. That is iconic. That is one of the greatest lines in YouTube history.
She thought, this is good, and then she wrote that down in her lyrics book.
It's so good. To those steeped in the world of YouTube fandom, a chaotic, shape-shifting minefield where allegiances are fortified and swapped by the hour. All right, chill, bro. not that crazy. Many of these
True.
claims were not new. Ballinger had even already responded to some of them. Rolling Stone's piece was tame, legally sound. Fuck, my dyslexia is crazy right now. I literally said seagully loud. I don't know how that. I couldn't do that if I tried. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a tongue twister. Legally. Thank you. Legally sound, one could argue, compared to the language and rumors that have been flying around for years. Yet his publication preceded stalker allegations against. Ballinger getting similarly ushered into the mainstream press. Who alleged? Who?
Starker, not stalker.
Fuck. All right. Let me center myself.
Would you like me to read it?
Dude,
No,
this sounds like I feel so bad because I know his pain. This sounds like me reading an article.
Hold together.
I'm centering my mind.
You got it.
I think it's more than just that. I think he's so enraged by this article, he's trying to keep his shit together, and he's struggling. That's what that looks like to me.
Yeah, because if you guys don't know, he's done a lot of things against PETA people, and he has very little tolerance for that kind of stuff, and so you could definitely see where he's trying to joke, that's his thing, but he's clearly visibly pissed off. Like, that's the face I made several times right there, reading through this shit. And to be honest, folks, it's worse. I mean, it's bad going through the shit she wrote. We went through her book review and everything. But it's really hard for people like us who think normally to cover these things. So I understand where he's getting that frustration, because now you've got to hear somebody actually defending this person, which is wild to me. It's fucking wild that whether we like or hate Vanity Fair, they're still a pretty huge publication. Mm-hmm. To see them actively defending her is very upsetting. It's actually quite disturbing to me. It's very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
I got it.
A few days after the Rolling Stone piece went live, HuffPost published its own investigation report. Her fans say she groomed them as teens. In the ensuing weeks, Ballinger would be accused of everything from performing a Beyoncé song in blackface to texting a
Did
not happen, as we know, to texting a sex worker's nudes to a minor.
Now, I just want to point out, and I'm going to get to the Trisha Paytas reaction to that. So clearly this guy knew you can't use people without their permission, so he calls her the sex worker. That's so disrespectful. And I gotta say, people are doing a lot by proxy to make Trisha Paytas look like a better person in general. With all of this shit, like her or not, and she's very comfortable with telling you what she does. She has no no bones with that.
Yeah, she's not worried about it.
Yeah, she admits it because it's pretty much out there. But imagine a major publication coming out, and you know who you are, and it's a good idea if people are following this, they know who you are, and in the article they call you a sex worker. Okay, so thoughts on this, Jay?
I just feel like it's a way to dehumanize her. They could have literally just said a friend. They could have said a friend of hers nudes, but they had to make it a point to say sex worker to make it look bad. Like, oh, she's just a sex worker. Like, even if those nudes were shared, it's not a big deal. That's her job, and it's like, it is a big deal. These are children.
I think a lot of things about this particular case, and this is why I've been covering this so hard. A lot of people seem to be taking out the fact, because Adam's now 20 years old, right? Mm-hmm. So he is technically an adult. In my mind, he's not really an adult until 21. If you come across this Adam, no offense, I'm just old.
Well, that's because you want to know why that is. It's because in America the drinking age is 21, and with him being in Ireland, he's allowed to drink right now, and so
he was allowed to drink at like 5. So
yeah, exactly. And so I think that's why you have that I don't want to say bias, but I think that's why you have that mentality, is the fact that basically in America you have to be 21 to drink.
yeah, and so I always base especially my crowds and stuff on America's legal drinking age, just so you know, if you're young and you wander in here, 21, baby, that's what we go with. Anyways, there's going to be no minors in my group chat. Zod will have enough scandals. Thank you, Christine. You have a good one. And Nico says we always love your reading skills. Always fun to watch. Nico's
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A. So yeah, let's continue. But you could see all of the language that's already being used to minimize everything. This is a straight up minimizing and cushioning the blow.
Yep.
The team has denied she performed in blackface, saying she was wearing. So they're in touch, by the way. They're intimately in touch with her team.
Oh yeah, Andrew and Andrew.
Andrew and Andrew, tight like that.
Andrew Squared, they call themselves.
Mm-hmm. So her lawyers say she didn't wear blackface, which we know.
And the other second, much more serious thing, no comment.
And sexting a sex worker's news to a minor. Yeah, no comment on that. Her Sings tour has been canceled. Her career abruptly stalled. And when reached for comment, Ballinger's lawyers replied in an email that Vanity Fair's inquiries were simply a regurgitation of the baseless and unsubstantiated claims that other media outlets and individuals on social media have reported. When reached for comment. So this is what they told them?
Yep.
Because they probably didn't. They're probably like, what do you think about this? They're like, okay, I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool. If anyone named Andrew tells me anything, I'm with them.
Right.
We and the Andrews, we got to stick tight, dog. The reality of some of these claims, in turn, the broader narrative around Ballinger remains murky. Various allegations remain unverified, left to endlessly circulate as they fall under the ever-expanding umbrella of inappropriate behavior. Okay, stop.
Talk about the allegation.
Once again, her lawyers have come out against 2 specific points only. Blackface and the copyright thing.
Claiming videos, yeah.
All the other stuff, mum's the word.
No comment.
Yeah.
Because it's all true.
That's interesting.
Or a super, super vague about everything. It's baseless and unsubstantiated. Like, are you going to talk about specific claims or no? Because if not, we're not listening.
Right. Talk about all of them.
Yeah.
Not just the ones that are not true.
Right. And not important, really.
Talk about the facts.
In a sense, this is a familiar story for the social media age, but Ballinger's downfall is unique. She brought teens into an adult world and made it feel like it was theirs, then saw those fans turn against her. It's a product of a particular era of YouTube.
So listen to that. I wanted to highlight that specific sentence, right? So they're saying, they're making it sound like she's a person of the people, right? She brought all these outcast, just stranded children into her world. And then when they got together, we're going to hear there was one of these rebellious kids who just decided to single-handedly take her down.
Out of nowhere.
Jay, this is such bullshit. I mean, as writers, if this dude wrote fiction, he'd make a killing. I'm pretty sure he'd be the best fucking fiction writer I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I have to respect, how do I put it, the navigating of words that this man is using. I've never in my life ever seen anything written where someone is trying to run defense so fucking hard in my life.
Hi, Joni.
Hi, Joni. Joni was with us when we did this article before too. So, new person to the Fandom Zone. I appreciate you. Welcome to Zod ASMR Live. If you wonder why I'm talking in my low, sexy voice, it's because I don't want my beautiful lady to wake up and kill me. So, this is where we're at on my channel.
Yeah, the flowy wording of all of these paragraphs and sentences paints a really beautiful artistic picture of this lost woman out on the sea, gathering people like Peter Pan and helping them go through and navigate this beautiful adult content world where everything's okay as long as you don't touch the children. It's wonderful, and it's not okay. Not okay.
I loved your what do I call it, visual similar. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
God damn it. Let's continue. Yeah, this gets worse, believe it or not. Here we go. We're getting to the juicy bits here.
The juicy bits.
YouTube stardom of a digital persona able to cultivate a feverish and savvy fandom has been trained to reverse course and maybe seek payback with the first spilling of tea. Are
we using groom and spilling of tea in the same article? Because that's insane.
So I love the fact that even them reading through this, they are pretty much saying everything we're going to say. They don't want to use grooming, right? Because as soon as people see grooming, it's over. It doesn't matter what you say from there. They're going to have that. Everybody knows that word. So that you're automatically going to have your audience, they're going to turn against it. So what does he do? He says spilling tea because everybody knows that's gossip, right?
Yep.
So from now on, everything from beyond this point, he's going to paint Adam as a person who's just releasing gossip, right? Keep in mind, you fucking scumbag. Andrew, I'm talking to you, Andrew. I know you'll never see me because I'm a small guy, but Andrew, you're a piece of shit. You are basically calling a kid a gossiper, and by extension, really, he's downplaying all of the victims by making this seem like it's just all a bunch of angry fans and YouTubers gathering together to attack this clearly innocent woman. Joni says, I'm actually taking a break from typing out a lecture from Jordan Peterson. Good for you. I'm not going to lie, that sounds boring compared to watching us critique this moron. So, before we continue, Jay, any thoughts?
Let's just keep going.
The thing that's really insidious is if our parents were to just randomly come across this, they don't know, they're not familiar, they just heard a little bit about what's going on. You could probably read this and be like, oh, this is all bullshit.
Yeah, it like murkies the waters entirely. You have no idea what they're saying didn't happen, what did. It's just like, oh, I guess none of this really happened, and it's all
just this damn cancel culture.
Unsubstantiated.
It's
baseless.
All, dude. The fans have been trained to turn against you with the smallest drop of tea. One drop of tea is all it takes, sis.
Mm-hmm.
You could be forgiven if you were one of the millions who, back in the summer of 2020, allied some COVID anxiety by diving into YouTube's drama unfolding between Ballinger and a former fan, Adam McIntyre. Bold, baby. He got that bold text. A then 17-year-old. Ballinger was his idol. Her merch could be seen all over the Irish teenager's bedroom where he recorded his own videos. He was an inspiring influencer himself, making sweet, low-stakes YouTube content about his life. On June 22, McIntyre posted a video to his channel titled, Colleen Ballinger, Stop Lying. In it, McIntyre told several seemingly unrelated stories. One recounted the time Ballinger sent him lingerie in the mail, to his mother's horror. Okay, now I'm not even going to read the parenthetical, but I'm sure it's defending her. The lingerie was new and unworn, and Ballinger has since apologized for sending it. Yeah. I knew it. anytime something's mentioned that it sounds like really, really bad, they have to add some
Parentheses.
parenthetical that's like, but it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Another was intended to debunk the rumor that he was secretly behind some anti-Miranda Sings social media account that Bellinger had gotten wind of. A third concerned the follow-up.
So before we go further, this is hilarious because you're gonna see him go off because there's something that he's about to say this guy says that's so either you're defending someone or you're fucking stupid. Which, as much as I hate to say it, you do have to have some kind of background to write for articles like Vanity Fair,
Right.
even be an independent reporter, because most of these people are, so they can, deny their articles later. So this guy has some kind of beef with Adam. The way he goes after him in this article, I got to be honest with you, it's quite disgusting. And keep this in mind, folks. Whether he's a young man now, he's basically discrediting a kid's account of what happened because he was a child when this happened to him. And keep in mind, he's still minimizing it because he brings up when he was 17 rather than stating the facts that this started when he was 13. Because if you go that age, then people will be more sympathetic, right? 17, everybody looks at it as, oh, they're a teenager, they're older, they should know better, right? Their parents should do something. So this is all a ploy.
Yep, one step away from being an 18-year-old adult.
Yeah, so he's still he's trying to cover his ass if anyone really looks into this, but he knows the general audience this piece of shit article is marketed towards is not going to dig deeper than this fucking shitty article. So it's actually quite clever, and why I wanted to study it in our writing section, because this is a great way to write a bunch of bullshit and get people to believe you, or at least dumb people who don't know anything about what's going on.
It's definitely structured in such a way because 9 times out of 10 when people read these articles, they just skim through. And so they're not going to do an in-depth read. They're not going to do, not only are they not going to do an in-depth read, but they're not going to do any research. They're just going to look at the tabloid and they're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. It must all be true. And they're not even going to fully read the damn thing. They're just going to skim through and get the high points because 9 times out of 10, it's probably, this is something that you would see standing in the checkout line at the grocery store. And, you open the magazine and you look and you skim and then you're like, all right, cool. And you just put it down because the only reason why you looked at it is because you were bored. Like, it's definitely carefully structured to pinpoint exactly what they're trying to do, and that's defend Colleen.
It's quite disgusting.
Make Adam look
tweet
like
that.
Oh, yeah. The attack on Adam is disgusting. And, hey, if you ever come across this, we here on the channel definitely think this is a bunch of bullshit. So, I hope you sue the shit out of them. Honestly, I do. This is slander. If there was anyone to ever claim slander, this is definitely a good example of that because there's no proof in what he's saying. Granted, he's not coming out and calling him a liar, but if you read in between the lines, he's basically calling him a liar.
Yeah, you don't have to say the word liar if you make it look like it.
Oh, exactly.
Allowed McIntyre to post. Miranda Sings from the character Twitter account that led him to never posting on her behalf again. He'd been considered her social media intern, he said, with hopes of being employed by her one day in that capacity. Ballinger says he only had access to her account for one day, and that if it went well, she had planned to hire him formally. That sounds like bullshit. What? One day?
That's always what she has said.
I love how he gets so
She just
angry.
gave him access for one day.
He was giving her ideas and tweets for years before she gave him her login also.
I mean, you can see in Adam's chat log that it's really obvious. There's an ease with that relationship that
so angry.
Says to me that they've been doing this for a while.
Oh, yeah, she trusted him.
Because she was like, yeah, go ahead. That sounds good.
Yep.
Like, if that was day one, would you...
What's that?
I just pulled this card of truth over here, us speaking the truth.
Really be talking about posting to your main social media like that? No, I wouldn't. Let's see. The tweet in question was seized upon in queerbaiting by Miranda's fandom, as she came out as a Megan Trainor fan and led to intense backlash. Might sound strange to hear, but Ballinger had put a fan in charge of her character's Twitter to begin with, but that access went in line with her public image.
Look at his face.
So again, giving a fan access to your Twitter is weird. I've never heard of that. I would never do that. And also, he's a minor. But then again, in the second part, he attempts to downplay it. But this actually all made sense in line with her public image.
What does that even mean? How did it make sense that she gave her password out to a young fan because of her character?
Here he says Ballinger was closely aligned with her most devoted young viewers.
That's it? So that's why she gave her password away to post on her social medias? No, I don't.
That's
I
like
don't think...
that's like saying Blue's Clues just lets kids post to their Twitter.
Yeah. Not necessarily correlated.
Yeah, what? Everybody has fans online. Doesn't mean they get to shit post to their Twitter account. For her to remove that access, as McIntyre experienced, felt painful. McIntyre felt that Ballinger was guilting him, selfishly preoccupied with her reputation rather than his feelings. After the backlash, she apologized for the tweet. Later, she denied ever blaming McIntyre and said she should have reviewed his tweet more carefully. Again, dummy, you're here saying this was day one. Here, day one, here's my access to my Twitter account. And then she says I should have reviewed it more carefully. There's no fucking shot she didn't review that tweet more carefully. It was day one.
Yeah.
No shot. Then came the YouTube response.
There's text messages between her, like her saying, yeah, post it. That's hilarious.
I love, though, how he is totally, like, calling this out. You can see the anger as he keeps on going in his face when he's talking about it, because it's a natural reaction when you're talking about someone. This guy, you can see from, and we'll bring it back to a writing perspective, right? You can already see how he's trying to paint Adam as this shadowy kind of conspirator, and he's going to come out and straight start blasting him next. Calling him a whistleblower, right? That's the term you're going to hear him use a lot. A whistleblower, folks, is, despite what you might think, throughout history, whistleblowers have gotten a lot of backlash. Even one of my favorite whistleblowers in U.S. history, Snowden, he was arguably right with the claims he made against our government, but unfortunately, because it was our government, he had to fucking leave the country. He still is not allowed back into the U.S. And he called out the Privacy Act back in I'll do my little historical thing. So John Snowden called out the Privacy Act that was enacted under Bush and the dangers of monitoring communications. And I'll get to my point of why this is a sort of stigma to place on somebody. So he had found encrypted files where the government can now have access to your most intimate and private conversations. And you can watch the movie Snowden. I would suggest watching it. It's a great movie that explains this whole situation. But the point being is that they labeled him an enemy of the United States, and he was exiled. So, yes, it's like saying, I love that, Johnny, she says, because we have a saying like, snitches get stitches, a fine line between tattling and exposing. Exactly, Johnny, and that's what this is. So, right now, what this man is trying to do is to paint Adam as this person who's tattling. Keep in mind, the way he's manipulating it, this Adam at the time of releasing this stuff was a child. And this is something you won't hear in this article. He was a kid when all of this was happening. To me, that is not whistleblowing. It's not snitching. It is exposing a creep. That's what he was doing. And downplaying that is quite honestly disgusting. I bet you this guy, and I said this on my stream at night, you guys can go check that out after this, of course. Sorry, I'm a YouTuber, guys. I got to do the YouTube thing. Anyways, but you can check this out. This is really disgusting, and I said this before I went on a huge rant. These people are taking out the fact that he was a child. It does not make it right. It's like, okay, it's like having a grape victim, because I can't say that word, but you guys know what I mean, right? It's like telling a grape victim who has evidence that they're really to blame for their assault because you want to make the assaultee look like they walk on water. That's what this person is doing. They are protecting the
Well, what were
groomer.
you wearing when it happened?
Oh yeah, that famous one. So it's really it's quite disgusting the way that they're weaponizing, and we've talked about this before too, I believe, Jay, how you can weaponize words, and words are powerful. They have meaning. So when you write stuff like this, you are weaponizing your journalism to do terrible things and to protect these perpetrators. It's disgusting. It's very, and it's going to go deeper. Like, he really goes in on Adam. It's really disgusting.
Responses to McIntyre's YouTube accusation. A classic back and forth. If the names James Charles and Tati Westberg mean anything to you, you get the idea. Ballinger, 33 at the time of her response to a teenager, posted a classic apology vlog. She revealed screenshots of Instagram DMs.
See, he doesn't say a minor, of a teenager. See, words are very important, people. He uses he's downplaying everything. A teenager, right? He's not going to say a minor. He says a teenager, because even if he was 13, right, that's still a teenager. So he's confusing the real issue here.
Yep.
The whole time he's muddying the waters, as we've said several times. Intentionally, yes.
She'd sent to McIntyre, and one that McIntyre's mother had reportedly sent to her, which seems to be Ballinger's way of assuring viewers of what really happened, a strategy not unlike McIntyre's. In a DM, she accuses him of going too far, supposedly in response to him asking her to imagine her newborn son being taken advantage of in the same way he felt he had been. What? Adam.
He's referencing when Adam texted Colleen about how upset he was. He said, like, I really hope that no one takes advantage of Flynn like the way you took advantage of me.
Okay, yeah.
And she's like, how dare you bring my son into this?
Whatever.
Like he wasn't a kid when all of this started.
Crocodile tears. She also elaborated upon the lingerie incident during a live stream giveaway with her fans. Ballinger explained McIntyre had asked for the article of clothing. According to her, he'd even sent photos of him jokingly posing in the underwear to group chats. It's okay, that doesn't make it okay. He's still a child. That included Ballinger and her most noted fans. Ballinger painted a seemingly accurate portrait of the Miranda Sings community, a silly place for kids like McIntyre to belong, looking up to an increasingly famous and powerful public figure. I'm not a monster, I'm not a groomer, and I do not deserve to die. Well, nobody says you deserve to die.
Nobody's saying that. That's the thing that's so freaking crazy. She's said that now at least 3 different times. I have never seen anybody, I haven't researched it all, but I have never seen somebody being like, oh, like, she needs to die. And I would never think that. Do I think she needs to pay? Absolutely. Do I think that she's deserving of all the hatred that she's getting? Absolutely. Do I wish ill on her? Absolutely not. What I want is for her to be a better human.
As Jay knows, I get too spirited in my answer, but I'm going to say the exact opposite of that.
That's why we win.
Disclaimer. So just take everything she said and say the opposite, and that's how I feel. Like, she's a horrible person. I have no love for let's say, PETA people, and I put her in that category.
Yep,
And you know what? If something horrible happens to her, it's called karma, bitch. Kind of had it coming. Look, I'll take her family out of this. I wish nothing bad on the family. To me, the kids are going to be the victims of this, unfortunately. I feel bad for her children because, especially with a media personality like this, now you drug your family into this. And I don't mean like her other family members because, oh boy, they got other shit with them too.
That's a whole nother video.
That's a whole nother video. But her specifically, I take the opposite stance because she's a terrible person. She's destroyed lives, and quite honestly, I wish we brought back burnings like the good old witch days. I'm just saying. This person is evil to me. Okay, this person is no. You know what I mean. Like the people that were burned at the stake back in those days didn't deserve it. She very clearly is a monster to me. I'm sorry. She's anybody who violates the trust of children is an absolute evil person. And the fact you're a mother is even more sickening to me. You should have that instinct to protect your child or children. And if you don't, it's really scary for what you're going to do with your kids or allow your kids to do. It's just very terrifying. Janie Rotten says victims can take decades before they feel able to share. Abusers know this. She also says, excellent Zod, love the way you put that, thank you. And says, I was thinking that, screw her, send her out to sea. Yeah, I agree because, look, and in all seriousness, I never wish bad things on people. It's my persona. I'm a villain. But in all seriousness, a person like this is the definition to me of what a monster is. They're a wolf in sheep's clothing. I've said this before and I'll say it again. They are creating a culture of victims. A lot of people, including me and Jay, we come from the JD community where we have all suffered some form of abuse. To see an abuser getting defense and getting praised for clearly grooming tactics, it's very tough on us, and I'm sure it's tough on our audience to listen to because we know what it's like. And this woman is creating a whole generation of kids. Maybe she didn't do it herself, but she's setting them up to be violated. So if someone comes along who's spouting the same bullshit, sure, maybe she didn't abuse the kids, but that doesn't mean they won't accept somebody abusing them because of the mindset she put into these children. And that is more scary. It's like the Jim Jones effects, right? Nobody knows why everybody, fucking off themselves. But Jim Jones is solely responsible to blame for that. He conditioned them to do that. And I look at it just like that. She is a modern day Jim Jones. She is creating people who could potentially be her later down the line. Hey, Laura B.
Hi, Laura B. And that's the thing. Like, and that's why I don't wish harm on her, because I know her time is coming, and I know the universe gets its due, and when the universe gets its due, the universe gets its due tenfold. And so when I say things like I don't wish harm on her, I absolutely don't. Because that's not my job. What I want for a future to be bright, and these children to get the help and the healing and the kindness that they need, and that they find the peace and the love. Because at the end of the day, we need to stop making all of this stuff about Colleen. It's not about Colleen. It's about these fucking kids.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Let's continue.
Rumor and Monster, that's debatable. Ballinger said in the video, alluding to the possibility that Sheeved received death threats. So this is very much just like this is like the video she put out.
Yeah.
That everybody was forgiving her for. This is basically just that.
Are we sure she didn't write this article?
Public opinion, or at least YouTube fandom, swayed back toward Ballinger, though the pendulum would swing back and forth for years. McIntyre established a new YouTube identity as Ballinger's whistleblower. No.
Whistleblower.
Frequently posting new videos and racking up 100,000 views by commenting on the hypocrisy of her every move. They're 100% painting Adam as... they're making it sound like every single one of his videos is about Colleen. Meanwhile, Ballinger continued to work on a YouTube channel that was far from her brand to sing satire. Colleen Vlogs offered wholesome... Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Colleen Vlogs offered wholesome lifestyle content about her kids. McIntyre appeared to seize on this, accusing Ballinger's brother's family, the Ballinger family, who have a family-oriented channel, of endangering and exploiting their children online. How creepy that I feel I watch them grow up, he said. It's disgusting. His critique gave way to a denunciation of family channels more broadly. Dude. So do you not have do you not think that
I love this.
Family,
he hates family channel content
with kids on YouTube with zero regulations isn't a gray area, Andrew? Because you seem to be taking the side that Adam is just saying this without merit just to get views and to talk more about Colleen.
Mm-hmm.
What about what he said?
Listen.
Damn, this guy's a fucking sucks.
I love him. He's so to the point.
For years, this drama was very insular. It probably should have stayed that way. But on June 7th, McIntyre posted an anti-Ballinger video, as he does every so often. This one was titled, My Relationship with Colleen Ballinger. He had new details, he claimed, describing staying up with her back when they were close and listening to her talk about her divorce. According to McIntyre, she embroiled him in a hateful campaign against her ex-husband. Then he came to a realization that shocked YouTube. This woman used me. This woman groomed me. I set in motion yet another stream of blowback against Ballinger, but this time the word grooming captured the attention of the mainstream press as well. That's also something that her lawyer was like, oh, the word grooming is being misused. So they're very much in line with their optics on this one. The substance of Ballinger's alleged grooming has not gone beyond what...
What was that?
I said, what about the fact that Adam is not the one that brought this up again? He wanted to move past it.
Oh yeah, they're not going to mention it in this article. They don't bring anybody up, none of the other victims. This is strictly a hit piece, just like they did with Johnny Depp. When they made that bullshit Amber Heard article, they're specifically targeting the guy in this situation. You see what they're doing here. They're trying to do what they did with Amber Heard and lump her into the believe all women shtick, right? So they're trying to paint the guy who, keep in mind, folks, is a fucking kid, okay? Even if he's 20. I'm older. I'm going to call him a kid, all right? She still, to me, is a kid. He's got a lot of life to go, okay? He's a kid. He's young. He's just getting started. And this man is already trying to ruin him as not only a content creator, but as a person. Jay, it's
Hold
fucking...
on. My toddler's coming.
Okay.
You can keep going. I'm going to mute it so he can't hear you.
It's fucking disgusting, folks. It's sickening that this man is literally attacking a child. Just think about that. Imagine if your kid came to you and told you something serious like this, and you had the press come after your kid, calling them a liar, because that's what they're doing. They're victim blaming. It's nonsense. And hello, Aaron Cooper. Yes, I agree. Boo. It's very disheartening to see this magazine, this big publication, come after a child. It's very disgusting, folks.
McIntyre has described in his video, or what a few other fans alleged thereafter. This is doing a lot of work, bro. This small little after the comma, the substance of her grooming has not gone beyond what McIntyre described, and also a few other fans that also said stuff. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What did they say?
Yep. Why are you telling me about her wholesome content? Why aren't you telling me about the allegations?
Yo, she literally summarized all that shit to this.
Yeah.
That's like being like, okay, I know this is an extreme example, but it's like, let me think of a good one here. Bill Cosby was accused of roofing this one woman's drink. It was only this one time, and also a few times afterwards, as mentioned by a few other victims. It was only one time, and a few other times.
And like
it
a
was
lot of
mentioned.
other times.
That's a psychotic thing to write. It has not been interrogated by media outlets reporting on the controversy either. HuffPost published allegations of grooming flexibly employ the term in a fashion not unlike how it's weaponized in right-wing circles against LGBTQ+. No. Wait, why are you doing that, dude? Why are you making it like that?
Yeah.
Like, why you got to make it like, if you are against Colleen, then you are pro right-wing propaganda. Described behavior does not approach the sexual exploitation or abuse that the actual definition of grooming indicates. I don't think okay. Did you link to the definition of grooming? What is this?
There's also a definition of online grooming, which the definition of that does very much fall into what we've seen.
No, it doesn't have to be sexual. I think traditionally it's been used that way, but it's obviously it's becoming a more versatile word. The practice of training someone for a particular purpose or activity. The action of attempting to form a relation with a child or young person with the intention of sexually assaulting them or inducing them to commit an illegal act, such as selling drugs or joining a terrorist organization. Well, you could say the Weenies was a terrorist organization.
According to ChildNet, online grooming is where someone befriends a child online, builds up their trust with the intention of exploiting them and causing them harm. Harm caused by grooming can be sexual abuse, both in person or online, or exploitation to obtain sexually explicit images and videos of the child. But it wasn't of the child, but it was sexually explicit images.
Yeah, I mean, sexual grooming is what her brother did. And that's clearly on another level that's like, I'm pretty sure a crime, what he's doing. But this is grooming. I mean, what do you want? You want to split hairs on that?
I find it interesting how they're running Dean saying she's not a groomer, and the two photos they used at the top of the article are the Kids' Choice Awards.
She makes wholesome children content.
Bro, have you not seen her new wholesome channel?
Yeah.
Where she exploits her children without any... I've never seen it. I can't... I mean... the nature of the relationship
she does
is
shove the
exploitive.
camera in their faces.
Listen, it doesn't matter if they are happy as fuck. That the relationship is exploitative. Their work is dependent on their adolescent kids working.
Yeah.
It's time to be on camera, son. We got to get paid. That's literally child labor. The fuck?
So, based on all of that, folks, and this is coming from, they're doing the racist card now too. This is coming from the actual definition, right? They are. I don't know if you caught that whole bit, but they just broke down the definition of grooming and child grooming.
Yeah.
So they were trying to say, he's trying to say that what she did doesn't fit the definition of grooming, and he was right. The Webster's dictionary definition, but under the child, like the child thing, everything she's done fits directly into that, without minus the sending, the kids sending pictures themselves.
Yeah.
Everything else falls in those parameters, and basically you missed Ethan just calling him bullshit, and he addressed the Colleen family channel, and he says
love the expression he has on his face.
Yeah, that's. Oh, and they tried to play the racist card too. Good job. Basically painting it like, if you are calling her a groomer, then you're using this stereotypical right-wing conservative talk that's been used against the LGBTQ plus, because they had to throw that in. And it's like, no, these are two very different things,
Agreed.
okay? Those are like, they've used that against the drag queens and things like that in certain instances and stuff like that. This is a 33-year-old adult talking to children in a group chat. These
Yeah.
are two very different things.
Now would be a
Like-
good time to plug Swoop's documentary on this situation.
Oh yeah, go check out Swoop's channel. You can drop the link because I'm irresponsible with those things. But yeah, check out that because Swoop goes very much in depth into all of that. But yeah, you could see by his
I gotta
face,
find my spot. Where am I?
he was so pissed he lost his spot.
The perception of Ballinger as a groomer nonetheless snowballed. Ballinger eventually decided to, what else? Post another video on YouTube. She took out her ukulele to awkwardly sing through her defense, implying the internet seized upon allegations that she's a groomer for entertainment. She said she wanted her fans to be her friends, admitting that desire was wrong. I'm not a groomer, she's saying, just a loser. This apparently seemed to resound. This worked for him, I think.
Not a groomer.
Yeah, no, Andrew was really swayed by the uke.
He's like, yeah, the uke, man.
His fave.
It was a little awkward, but it was
like, well done.
She got her point across. The apology was roundly mocked, especially on YouTube, where parodies have already gotten millions of views. Soon, an old video of Miranda sings performing single ladies in dark green makeup. Stop talking about that. He's talked about this dumb blackface controversy like as much as that's so nothing.
Yeah, they
It's
love
the
to
only
harp on
thing
it.
that they can discredit.
Mate was unearthed by.
Yep.
So that's why they keep talking about it in the article to remind them, oh, remember, this was inaccurate. But we know the rest is accurate.
Former fans. To find it, you need to have a copy of her book with a QR code linking to it, who said it looked like she's performing in blackface. Her lawyers.
And here's the thing. We went over the book. Even if you look at the book, it's grossly inappropriate. So
yeah,
referencing the book is a terrible idea, and you guys can go check out my playlist here, where me and Jay suffered through each of her books. They were disgusting and terribly written.
Formatting, terrible, pictures, terrible, just terrible all around.
Uses of makeup. Headlines were changed, although corrections were not issued. Shut up, dude. What are you, her fucking PR?
They
are you her goddamn crisis manager? That being said, they should do a correction. Did they not do a correction?
Imagine if this guy was a huge fan.
Oh, here. This article has been updated to include comment from Ballinger's representative. So it has been updated, dummy.
This guy didn't even do
Not
any of his right.
Just a loser.
Not a groomer.
Just a loser.
Just a loser.
I love how hard he
McIntyre
goes.
and another former fan also alleged that Ballinger sent them nude photos from a sex worker, posting unverified, if troubling, text messages as proof. Racially insensitive comic performances.
Yes, if troubling. And I just want to say, too, they're going to mention us people who went against Amber Heard because
they had to connect it.
Yeah, they had to connect it. So now they're also saying that everybody who's going against these abusers, Amber Heard was proven, court case, fucking Johnny Depp won it, okay? So we can stop pretending like Amber Heard was an abusive piece of shit because it's fucking out there. Hi, Astrid, and everybody else who is sitting here and using what people did to legitimately get this insane woman off of these projects, okay? Painting everybody in that spectrum as just nuts YouTubers and obsessed fans. No, it's just people who have fucking decency. And I'm sorry, the Hollywood scene, you have a bunch of fucking PETAs and fucking sick individuals who, by the way, in themselves, and I'm going to be perfectly blunt here, so disclaimer, but these are child fuckers, okay? And I'm not talking hyperbole This has been proven. Several of these fucking stars have been linked to molesting kids. So this defending these people has been going on for damn near past a decade. That's just in Hollywood. And guess what she's a part of, folks? She's a part of that Hollywood machine. She's done shit with Nickelodeon. We know about them. She's done shit with Netflix. We know about them. Okay? So the people defending her are defending these people, and they have been. But yet, if I come out and I say I don't like The Little Mermaid, I'm a racist.
Well, that's a whole other thing. Let's not even get started on
that. That's another slippery slope. But you get what I'm saying, right? It's always thrown back at us that we're this, we're that, we're white right-wing conservatives that are just throwing another poor innocent woman underneath the bus. Fuck you, okay? Fuck you, Andrew, and your fucking shitty writing.
Yeah,
she
terrible.
performed
terrible writing.
As Miranda sings, that Ballinger later apologized for, have roared back on social media. All this is being filtered into the current YouTube content machine. Wrongdoing exposed with a relentlessness that could rival the anti-Amber Heard brigade.
Look at how he does the eyebrow.
Yeah, he's like, I have questions.
Like, okay, first of all, the anti-Amber Heard brigade, okay, if there was such a thing, we didn't have to do much. You saw the courtroom stuff, folks, okay? She sunk herself. It was not a fucking monumental task to make her look like the piece of shit she already was. She sunk her own case. She went against her lawyers, and she proved what kind of narcissist she is, okay? It wasn't like it was all of these angry Johnny Depp fans who rallied together and started making mean tweets, and then she just lost it. Because, once again, right, Amber Heard's a victim, too. Amber Heard's the victim, not the guy who got his ass kicked, because, God forbid, guys are victims, right? Like, I'm sorry, that part pissed me off, because it's so just disgusting. He is throwing so much shit against the wall to see what sticks.
Yep.
It's disgusting.
Don't.
Anti-Amber Heard brigade.
I love how she
Do not
said
try to
don't.
correlate situations that are not correlated.
Well, the Amber Heard thing was very much I don't like it.
Yeah.
Again, she's trying to group her in because Amber Heard is now like I think people see her as like I guess some people see her as the victim of like mob justice.
She was certainly. I think that they were.
I'm gonna skip over this because, as we know, the person that's on her, that's on that panel, she was very much defending her, and I don't want to touch into that.
Look at that gaze.
Now that's a gaze of miracles, my friends.
Thank you.
I feel the cancer lifting, evaporating from my body.
What the hazel eyes does?
Oh man, look at those shades of green, baby. Anyway, the scorpion chair is gone, and even though it's
the rest of this, I think he was just going over some other, because they do funny bits afterwards. But
I'm gonna have to probably go here in a minute, just so you know.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna get to. We'll do the Trisha Paytas. Maybe I'll do the reaction like later tonight. But yeah, so basically, even the people, which like I said, with H3, I'm very 50-50 with them, because they did unfortunately take Amber Heard's side in that whole situation, especially that girl who was talking. She very much defended her a lot of the way. So, you know, people are going to have their opinions. But once again, I'd like to also say that was two adults. This is kids. And nobody, even people who may have defended Amber Heard, you fucking crazy people who are still out there, in that situation, you have two grown adults, and we're dealing with a more like domestic violence kind of situation. Which,
all the same.
with that, there comes a stigma where adults versus adults, you can play that he said, she said game, which is what they
Mhm.
tried to do. And it's a little bit different. But universally, even H3, everybody knows when it comes to children, this is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Nobody in their right mind is going to defend a 30-year-old talking to kids.
Right.
And that's the real conversation here, is that you're not talking about adults going at it. You're talking about an adult manipulating, abusing, and using kids
Right.
as her puppets on a string and then discarding them.
When they start to question her.
And I think even people, and that's why I brought up the H3 podcast, because even people who defended Amber Heard, I mean, everybody has universally come and agreed this is not okay. I mean, there's something about when you talk about kids, it hits a very different nerve, because
Mhm.
anybody who is a parent, and I know Ethan is a parent, or anybody who has children is going to say, wait a second, any good parent is going to be like, wait, she was doing what? You see how many times he stopped? He was so fucking pissed off. I've never seen him read an article like that. You could see, like, in his facial expression, he was getting angrier and angrier. And he even did a separate podcast talking about just specifically Adam and the way that they attacked him. And Adam did something on his channel. Go check out Adam McIntyre's channel too, because he does react to what they said about him, and it's just very gross reporting. It's very irresponsible, going after one. Take the child thing out of it, okay? The teenager, okay? Take that out of it. Going after a young person or a victim, just you're victim blaming.
Yeah.
They are literally blaming the victim, using the clout to elevate their career, right? So it's like what you said with the girl with the dress. How are you dressing? That's what they're saying to him. Well, you followed her. You made videos about her.
You
I mean,
talked to her.
you talked to her. You exposed her. You're the whistleblower. It's like all of the words he was using were specifically pointed and to paint Adam like this horrendous and terrible person that can't be trusted because they're a teenager, so they're making this stuff up to bring down this adult. That's how that read to me. I don't know if you have a different interpretation.
No, I agree. And my whole thing, for my personal thing, when we talk about whether it be kids or adults and they're talking about abusive situations or whatever, I don't believe in that. Believe all women, believe all victims. I don't believe in that. What I believe in is listen and research.
Yes, listen to victims. It should be listen to all victims, not women, because guys can be victims. Listen to all victims and then research their claims.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it's like, sorry to cut you off, because at the end of the day, what right do you have trying to tell some child that went through this horrific experience, you didn't go through that? You didn't go through that. Like, it couldn't have been that bad. You obviously, what we weren't there. Even just hypothetical here, even if we were to research the claims and it wasn't as bad, it's still bad, obviously, but it wasn't as bad as we found it. In that moment when he discovered that he went through this, like, that's still his reaction to that thing. Sure, your perception of a situation might not be the reality, but the way you felt in that situation matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's like telling a victim who goes through something terrible that even if societally it's not that bad within the law or whatever, to them, you have emotionally and psychologically impacted them. And there was a saying when I did my training with the special units. There was a saying that our commander used to always say, the mind controls the body. And what that was used for was, well, it's to push you past your physical limits. That basically says your mind runs everything. Your body can give out, but your mind could still be functioning. Even people in a coma, right, or something like that, their body is still working, but the mind's not there. And that's why the body fails, right? So you can still impact someone's mental and completely mess them up without having to do any physical damage whatsoever. That's why grooming, that's why that word exists, because it's more of an outline for the broad emotional and psychological toll that these kids go through. And Joni says he was a kid. He was a kid and a tween/teen at the time. This age is obsessive and clingy. This U.S. their natural behavior as they are grasping an understanding of the world. And then she says, "Oh, she corrected that. It's not U.S. It's not us. U.S. Taking advantage of that natural behavior is disturbing." Yep.
It is. Because everything you do in life, in my opinion, because of the spiritual side of things, I mean, you guys saw me messing with my tarot cards, but the spiritual side of things, in my opinion, anytime we interact with people on this world, we are exchanging energy. And, like we're doing this and we're putting this energy out here. And if, let's say like, in a weird situation, like if you were Colleen and I was Adam, for instance, we're exchanging that energy and I'm starting to grow and learn, and it's almost like, footsteps in sand. Like everybody has everybody that they interact with fingerprints all over their energy. And regardless of regardless of the whole thing, even if that wasn't your intent, like Colleen likes to say, you have power in who you are, your energy and your words, your influence, your money, your shows. It's all a huge energy exchange. And when you're exchanging energy with people you shouldn't be exchanging energy with, you're gonna get tainted. You're going to get I don't want to say dirty, but like you're going to be affected by whoever you're exchanging energy with, whether it be a physical thing, a mental thing, or our communication right here. We're exchanging energy right now to send out into this world talking about this horrible thing. And so this article really misses the mark with everything. Obviously, it's obviously a defensive fluff piece for Colleen, but that energy is now being out there and put into these minds of these people that don't know what the situation is, haven't done the research. And this article is very dangerous. And it's just, you just have to be careful with who you communicate with and how you communicate with them, because this stuff, like, it's so sickening to me, and it can really turn into a poison inside somebody's life and really start to run the course of a disastrous chain of events that, even if it wasn't your intent, you still started it by lighting the TNT. Like,
I mean, we're not even talking about the fact that even if we take these victims who have come forward out of the equation, we've reviewed her books. Tonight I might do her Netflix series, because that's a real doozy. But when you just see the first couple of minutes of that, and the way she is clearly desensitizing the audience to how she's going to say, like, this is deliberately planned and deliberately executed, and everything is structured in such a way so that when she makes these comments, the audience is desensitized to what she's going to say next. And it's a typical thing comedians use. It's called a setup, right? They set you up for the kind of content they're going to make. But I typically see this in like stuff like Dave Chappelle or or Chris Rock, or one of them, right? The edgier comedians, Robin Williams back in the day, like all of these great comedians, they always dropped like a little stinger so you knew what you were in for. But here's the difference: their audience was fucking adults. There were no kids in their audience. Her audience is kids filled with thousands of kids. We're talking about someone, folks, if you don't know the gravity, she has 8 million just on her Colleen page.
Mhm.
That's not her Miranda Sings. Her Miranda Sings has like 200 and something million, okay,
Mhm.
kids.
That's why she posted it on Colleen's vlogs to try and hide her stupid ukulele tune, because she didn't want it to get out to her actual Miranda Sings audience, because that energy would have got out there and would have had them start asking questions.
This thing is, your average Joe narc doesn't even realize they have these powers. They act on instinct. That's why they deny. Global leaders are very aware of their manipulation. I agree. I've seen this tactic. And both me and Jay, if you guys don't know, we I worked for the Navy, and you're still currently in, right?
Not anymore, no. I got out recently.
Oh, yeah. So now we are both former Navy vets. Okay, so we are well aware of the government and the doublespeak and everything else. We've been in the machine, so to speak. I've been under 2 administrations. I was in the tail end of Bush, and I was very much the Obama era. That was fun times. I was there during the Somalian pirates and all of that. If you guys don't know my history, and I've seen the doublespeak. I've seen congressmen sanction things, and you're getting ready to do something, and then they pull you out. I've seen it all, so I know about the political shell game, and politicians use these tactics as well. You're absolutely right, Joni. They use this sort of tactic to downplay and minimize, and at certain points, straight up deny actions. There's certain things, I don't know how many you were involved with, Jay, but there's certain things that certain groups will do that never happened because it's called plausible deniability.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing. It's not just spy show talk. I can or cannot confirm I may have been on the end of some of those, right? Um, where we did a lot of good, but it'll never get publicized until about 10 or 20 years later when they can fucking release the documents. And then by then, some Hollywood asshole will adapt it and totally miss the mark on the fucking opera. That's a rant for another day. But, anyways, the point being is that this is all used by Hollywood too. Plausible deniability, right? It's, oh, I did this one thing, but it's taken this way, or this thing never happened. The difference is when you are a Hollywood figure, there's literally Netflix. If you read between the lines of her very own content, you can see manipulation in her fucking content, in her shows, in her book. It's clear desensitization and manipulation of children. And it's right there. But people are so fucking desensitized to all this stuff because of Hollywood shoving this shit down our throat for the past decade that they don't read between the lines of what this lady is doing and how dangerous it is. So when you hear of the stuff she did outside of the show, you think, oh, well, that's just crazy Miranda Sings, right? That's just that's just crazy Colleen. She's got a wacky personality, but you're not reading between the lines. This has always been set up so that if something happened, she can fall back on it, right? She can use these things as a cushion.
Yep.
So, anyways, thank you everybody for watching. This has been a great stream.
Yes.
We actually did writing stuff as advertised. We actually, it might have been a piece of shit, but we broke down the writing. So let's just, before we go, let's just critique this not on the content, but let's critique this more on the writing structure and how this is put together in general. I'll go first because I think you're going to rant. So I'm going to go first to this time, and I'm going to say this is structured, first of all, very messy. There's a lot of run-on sentences. There is correct punctuation, but it's kind of structured in such a way where it makes it hard to discern where one sentence begins, one sentence ends, that kind of a thing. So from a structural standpoint, it's written very poorly. Um, from a content standpoint, it's very much not addressing anything
Mhm.
and minimizing everything. That's my take.
My take is really the formatting is awful. The font is too small. The pictures that they use are terrible. The ad placement is awful.
God
I did
awful.
Yes, awful. And I didn't like it's very wordy. Literally, probably could have been cut in half because of all of the fluff put in there. Very obviously a defensive maneuver. Very obviously, her PR team trying to rush a bunch of information and cram it into one little article that it just did not it was not conducive to situation aside. It was not conducive to helping her case at all because they didn't identify anything. They didn't put any proof. They filled everything with ads. They cared more about promoting content instead of actually the details within the article. The spacing, I felt there was too much white space on each side, which made the whole thing look longer because it was just so scattered. It jumped around a lot. There was no flow to it. I didn't like the way, like I said, situation aside, trying to take away my bias for the situation, but really realistically, I feel like it did not feel like a professional journalist wrote it. It felt like some PR intern was trying to, not that there's anything wrong with PR interns, but was just trying to cram a bunch of information in there and try and discredit all of this stuff. I think I would have felt a little bit more better about it if there was actual point, because even though it's not a story, there's still plot points that I feel should have been reached and they weren't reached. It was very anticlimactic, very if I was actually reading this article without any context, I feel like I would have been left wanting for more, if that makes sense, because it just didn't make sense. The whole flow of the whole thing, I feel, was just messy. This is just my opinion. I'm not a professional, but
Yeah, it's that as aspiring writers ourselves, right? And we do a lot of correcting and checking and writing and rewriting. God, by the way, I'm working on
editing.
Fear at editing. I'm working on Fear West currently. One of these shows probably next week, hopefully, if nothing else. God, this woman needs to shut up. If nothing else comes out, I can't guarantee anything because she's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
So fucking stupid. But if nothing else comes out, I will have a preview of some. I did some rewrites, and so did Bitchy. So I'll share that with you guys. But yeah, just structurally, um, the it when you're writing or when people are writing articles, right, about serious topics, part of reading these articles is being drawn into the content and the
Mhm.
subject matter. There was a great
Research.
tall Jesus, even just writing fiction. I can't even tell you the amount of research I've done for this because it's a period piece.
Yeah.
Uh, so just from a drawing me in perspective, there's a great article you guys should read. Back when the New York Post used to make good journalistic articles, they did a expose on the Catholic Church and all of the shit that was going down with the Catholic Church. There's a movie on it called Spotlight. Excellent movie. If you have a chance and you don't want to read the article itself, just watch the movie because they go in depth about it. But the writing for that was so punchy, so poignant, that when you read this article, you couldn't help but to be pissed off by all of these priests that were getting away with terrible shit, right? They exposed a whole bunch of stuff, and they did it because the article grabbed you from word one.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the guy wrote it, there was so much emotion and so much passion, and I think that's what's lacking here. Taking the content
Mm-hmm.
out of the context of the writing has no flavor. It has no style.
Yeah.
It has
No emotion.
it has no emotion. It's like an AI writing about the situation, right? They're just giving you certain things that happened, no details. And the only time the writer uses emotion, right? And Ethan pointed this out, and I found it interesting. when talking about Adam, he put his name into bold. And when writers do that, that's where you can tell they're trying to go at something. And the only passion I felt was attacking this individual. But to your point, and taking out how gross that is, right? But why? I didn't get the why he's going after this person, right? In the Spotlight article, there was one priest in particular I'm not going to name because I don't know the legalities. That's a very sticky situation. But when the writer wrote about this person, it was the same kind of thing. The whole article was riveting, but when he got to this one person being accused of these things, there was that bold letter, and it was very passionate, and he gave reasons why he suspected this person, right? All of the events leading up to where we are currently reading. This guy doesn't do this. Like, yes, he does talk about Adam and things he's done, but if I'm just reading it, it's like, oh, this kid made a video. Why is this guy so mad about it? Like, there's no setup, there's no justification, there's no this and this happened, and back then he did this, so I'm connecting it to this. You know what I mean? It's just, oh, he made this. Oh, he did different videos. Oh, here he goes again doing a video. You know what I mean? It doesn't link anything together. So it's very disjointed. And like you said, best way you put it, there's no flow. There's nothing that pulls me in. Quite honestly, it was really hard just to get through because it's just so long, and so many times he goes back to that blackface thing that has nothing to do with what he talked about previously. So you broke my concentration, you broke my flow, because it's like, okay, she did this, wait, why are we talking about this? You just 2 paragraphs ago brought this up. Like, does this connect to this?
Right.
And it doesn't. So there's, you know what I mean? There's no connective tissue in this article at all.
Which leaves you wanting.
Which, you get to the end and you know what this does to me? This confuses people, and it could have been the writer's intent, but this confuses people more than it actually informs them. I mean, just, taking out the horrible subject you're talking about and how insensitive he approached this.
Yep.
It is so goddamn confusing because of the fact that none of his facts link up with any other fact. So he purposely loses the reader halfway in.
Yeah, you can choose a side, but still be compassionate for the claims.
I hate to say this, I really do, but we reviewed the Vanity article, fluffing up Amber Heard's nuts, right? And as much as I hate to admit it, that article, to me, and the lady who wrote that, at least she had some goddamn passion defending it. Like, for all the bullshit she put in that article and how slanted it was, to me, at least, she peddled her bullshit in a way where she connected the events. Now, her explanations made no goddamn sense, but she gave her reasons why this was bullshit to her. This made sense, right? She justified the reasons of why she's on Team Amber, right? And right or wrong, that's still good writing, because even if the piece is complete bullshit, at least I understand your perspective. This, to me, seems like somebody who's completely on the sideline. It's like you said, it's almost like somebody else wrote the article and he printed it under his name, because I don't feel any passion from the writer at all.
Yeah.
It's like
you can pick a side, but you can still show compassion to the other side. Like, if you're really trying to fluff up this person, you don't need to tear somebody else down to fluff up the other person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that's so frustrating. When you get to good writing, you have to paint the villain in a way that makes sense, is conducive to the story, is very flowy, but like without destroying them. Because I don't know, I just think it's very It's just empty. It's just an empty, cold. I gotta get this out right away. We gotta protect Colleen. Like blah blah blah. Like that's the
I
vibe.
mean, this was literally out like a couple of days or I think a week after her apology video, right? Because then I was off. It could have been sooner. And right away, this article dropped. And for me, this is that PR nonsense. And I hate to say it, even Amber Heard had the decent, like, say what you want about her. She had an amazing fucking PR team.
Yes.
Even them, like, even in that shitty Vanity Fair article, the woman who wrote it, she paints Johnny Depp as the villain, but she does still credit some of the stuff that she couldn't deny, right? Like allegedly, or oh yeah, this was out, but then she goes back on the defense. There's still, see, she does something clever where she doesn't completely paint Johnny Depp as a villain necessarily if you are just grazing the article, right? You really have to read in between the lines. And unfortunately, that is good writing because she leads you with this other stuff, right? She lulls you in, and so you're reading it going, oh shit, well, he did do this, he did do that.
Then you start asking questions.
You start doubting yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Laura B, I will agree the PR team are downright criminal. but still, Laura, even with that said, they knew what the hell they were doing. I don't know who Colleen's team is, but they clearly did a rush job, and it shows because when you're trying to put someone on a pedestal, you can't completely destroy your target.
Exactly.
You have to have some stuff to soften it up because people just don't like good guys and bad guys. Look at the greatest shows, right? The greatest villains of all time. Why do people like villains? People like villains who are simple. Yeah, they're fascinating, and you know what makes them more fascinating? Being sympathetic. Let me give you an example. One of my favorite movies of all time, you guys been following me, besides Nicolas Cage, one of my all-time favorite movies is Joker. Now, when you watch Joker, how do you paint somebody like the Joker? And just hear me out. I know this is a DC nerd thing, but I'll round my point, right? How do you paint someone who dresses up in face paint, brutally murders people, right? And is the arch nemesis of one of the most beloved superheroes, Batman, right? How do you make that guy sympathetic? Well, Todd Phillips, being the fucking genius that he is, said, well, who is the Joker, right? What made him become the man we see later? So he has a speech impediment. He went through abuse. He was clearly delusional. By the end of that movie, you're going, God damn, I don't know why, but, this Joker guy ain't really, maybe the world is fucked up, right? When you get to the end of that movie, you are questioning anything, and when you think about that movie, he blatantly fucking murders people. He brutally kills a talk show host, and we're so shocked because up to that point, he was the victim of society and life. So it shocks you even more because part of you is rooting for him to make the right choice. So using this in writing real life, you can't paint your villains as exactly villains. You got to give them layers because then it makes people question. And they do that for Colleen, but they go after Adam. So now it just looks like you attacking this innocent minor at the time.
Yeah.
And now you just, by proxy, you make her look worse.
Yep.
because there's a fine balance, and that was what they did with Amber Heard very vigorously. They painted her as this innocent woman who was with this man who had clear drug problems, right? They always picked the fault and they twisted and manipulated that fault. And once again, I hate to say it, but that is actually good writing because you don't paint your villains 100% villainous. You give them layers so that people can connect with them, and then you drop a bomb and people go, oh God, it adds to the shock. There's no shock in this. This is just like, okay, who's that? Well, why do you hate Adam? Okay, so he made some videos. Okay, I guess that's bad. Like, there's no punch, there's no hook, there's nothing there's nothing to draw people in and make them feel sympathetic. Joni says the key to a good killer character is when the audience has empathy towards them. Exactly, and that's why Joker made $1 billion, is because people empathize with a guy. Think about the whole premise, right? Who hasn't been down on their luck? They're not making a lot of money. It seems like the world shits on them. They get fired for no fault of their own, right?
Yep.
Todd Phillips is a genius at writing characters because he understands you don't go 100% evil, right? You got to set your person up. Even The Hangover, right?
Yep.
Now, when you think about that movie, all those guys are assholes. Like
Absolutely.
they're 100. Like dude roofied his friends. Okay, they're 100% assholes, but he gives them a little emotional moments. Even the guy who roofied him, why did he do it? Because they were all best friends and he didn't want to lose that friendship. They were going their separate ways. So you get to the end of the movie and you're like, you know what? Zach Gaffernet, whatever the fuck, he did something fucked up, but goddamn, he's so lovable, right? By the end of the movie, you're just like, it's a really fucked up thing to do. But when you get to the end and you've seen so much wacky shit and you bonded with these groups of guys that you want them to be bros at the end of the movie. And that's what this piece is missing. I'm not going to be bros with her. I hate her more now. And now I hate Andrew for writing this.
Exactly. This what is that? Swill. Writing this swill.
Yes.
But I think that's a good place to stop it here.
Yeah.
People when you're gonna write articles, you need to learn how to write.
Yeah, I guess our final statement is stop being lazy, journalists. I mean, this dude went to a good university and everything else. Shame on you. And you can tell with the vocabulary and the sentencing he does use, there is good writing in there.
Yeah.
But it's buried under this need to
all
run.
Convoluted.
Yeah, it's very convoluted and buried in a need to defend somebody. And I think it's a shame, because use your powers for good. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Even I, as your favorite YouTube villain, have a heart occasionally, especially when it comes to kids.
Leave the kids alone. Don't be weird with kids.
Don't be weird with kids. Okay? Stop.
Why is this? Anyway.
Yeah, why? Oh, God, the hardest concept. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Go check out Books by Ray's channel. I have them linked in the description below. Also,
really? I haven't even. Let me go look.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so proud of you if you did.
And also, Jay, you know who leaves the kids alone? There's a company out there that leaves the kids alone. And this company is called moviepalette.com. Yes. And if you enter the promo code linked in the description, Zone15, you get 15% off all of your purchases over at moviepalette.com. Being that YouTube sucks, support a villain over there. Go get yourself an awesome movie palette. Of course, I got one of my favorite Nick Cage movie, National Treasure. It's hanging up there by my shrine. So go check out moviepalette.com and save yourself 15%. Check us out later tonight for Late Night Talks, where me and the Sleepy Bear will be talking about this. Maybe Jay will join us because we're probably going to stream early because PB falls asleep at like old man time. Like 10 o'clock he's done. So
Maybe.
So maybe we'll do an early stream. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hit that share button. This is an important topic, and people will learn something about writing. And I can't say after I do these, I can't say my favorite catch. It's so awkward. If you guys have been following me and you know the character of General Zod, I have a catchphrase, but I'm not going to say it because it's just grossly inappropriate for this topic. So I will say, have a nice day, have a blessed day, and we'll see y'all later on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Love you guys. Bye.